My name is Jess and this is my friend
Gabby.
And welcome back to my channel, Books Past Bedtime. Today we're going to be doing another vlog. Today we're going to go book shopping in Brooklyn to two iconic Brooklyn bookstores. I'm so excited. We're also going to an author signing for Ashley Herring Blake tonight, hosted by Casey McQuiston, two of our favorite authors. So we're super excited and it's just going to be like a fun, cozy vlog. So let's go. friends, excuse the outfit change. I ran out of time on the first day, and so I had to go back to the Rip Bodice for round 2 because I only got to do like the author event. I didn't get to actually shop there, and I needed to actually shop there. So we went back today and got some more books from the Rip Bodice, and I got to see Catherine again, and it was lovely and wonderful. But now we need to go over the books that I actually got while I was shopping in Brooklyn. The first day, as you saw, I went to Books for Magic, and I ended up really limiting myself very successfully and only picked up 2 books. I was very proud of myself for that. So the first book that I got was All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. S.A. Cosby wrote one of my favorite books of the year last year in Razorblade Tears. Razorblade Tears, I think. Why don't I just look on the inside of this book? It probably says Razorblade Tears. And so I wanted to pick this one up because I loved that one so much, and this one sounds so good as well. This book is like a crime fiction thriller, and in it we're following our main character Titus, who is one of like the first, if not the first, black sheriff in his like Southern Virginia town. I always like books set in Virginia because that's where I'm from. As a black sheriff, Titus is tackling like the racism in his town. There's like a Confederate group that wants to hold a parade in the town, which is disgusting. And also he is put on this case where I think this like school shooting has happened. The perpetrator of the shooting, who was a kid, was shot by Titus's deputies. There's a lot of different moving parts in this book. I think it's going to take a look at the police force, racism in small southern towns against a backdrop of like a crime fiction thriller. So I think this sounds super good. S.A. Cosby is such a talented writer that I'm sure I'm gonna like this. Even though I don't read a ton of thrillers anymore, I had to pick this one up because it just sounds so powerful and really good. And then I also picked up Venom and Val by Anna Marie McLemore and Elliot McLemore. I believe they are partners who co-wrote this book. I've been wanting to pick up more books from Anna Marie McLemore ever since I've read Self-Made Boys, queer Great Gatsby retelling that I really loved, rated 5 stars, thought it was beautiful. This one sounded like a great place to start because this is a queer YA fantasy, and that sounds right up my alley. In this book we're following 3 different characters. Cade and Patrick are the princes of this kingdom, and Cade often doubles for Patrick because I think Patrick is maybe the first in line, but doesn't like to do the royalty stuff, so Cade often takes his place. Cade is also a transgender character, which is cool. And then we're also following Valencia, who is a young dama to a princess. I'm not sure what that means exactly. I guess she's in the royal court somehow. And she also doubles as the male assassin named Gale, so I don't know if she is like non-binary in some way or just drags it up to execute people. I'm not really sure. She has set her sights on killing Patrick, but not knowing the first time she meets Patrick was actually Cade. Then they all have to like end up working together for something, I don't know. But this sounds like delightfully queer and right up my alley. I love a fun fantasy, and I'm very excited to read more from Anna Marie McLemore because they just have such a beautiful, glorious, wonderful writing style. I just feel like I'm gonna love this one. And then of course, as you saw, we went to the author signing for Ashley Herring Blake for her new book Iris Kelly Doesn't Date, which is the 3rd book in the Bright Falls series, starting with Delilah Green Doesn't Care, followed up by Astra Parker Doesn't Fail, and then Iris Kelly Doesn't Date, the 3rd and final book in the series. I'm so excited to finally have my hands on this. I'm so sad that I've been in kind of a reading slump because I just like want to devour this book. I really think it's going to be my favorite in the series. Iris has been my favorite character since I met her in like the first couple chapters of Delilah. Like, she's just so funny and so full of life and just such like a fun character to read about. I'm so excited to finally get her book and finally get her romance, and I really think I'm going to enjoy her romance too because Stevie is like a very shy, anxious person, very inexperienced in the bedroom, whereas Iris is kind of like a very sexual person, so I think their dynamic is going to be super interesting. I feel like I'm going to relate to Stevie a lot. And I think there's also kind of like a second chance element to this because I think the two of them meet and have a really horrible like one night stand, but then come back together and like fake date maybe. I don't know, but it sounds so good. And it's signed to me. It's so exciting. I also got Casey McQuiston to sign 2 of my books, and Ashley Herring Blake also signed my copy of Delilah and Astrid. So it was such a fun event. It was so lovely, and it was really cool to hear them talk about their books, and especially like Ashley Herring Blake, it was like her event. To hear her like thoughts and inspiration and behind the books and how she talks about them like her children. It was just so cute. And I really enjoyed it, and it was so fun. That was like my first author event that I've ever been to. I don't know, I just have always like not known if they would be my thing, but it was definitely my thing. I really enjoyed it, so I definitely will do more, especially with the Rip Bodice in Brooklyn now. They have so many good events, and Catherine is where he is so hard. But yes, I'm so excited for this one. And then today when I went back to the Rip Bodice, I actually went back because I had pre-ordered a signed copy of A Power Unbound by Freya Marks that Catherine was holding for me. I'm so excited to have this in my hands as well. This one's also signed and personalized to me. I'm so excited. This is the third and final book in the Last Binding trilogy. The first book is A Marvelous Light. The second book is... what's the second book called? The second book is called A Restless Truth. This is a romance fantasy series with magic. So each book in the series is queer. It follows a different couple. The first book is MM, the second book is FF, and this third book is MM as well. And there's this overarching magical plot throughout all of the stories. Basically, the Last Binding refers to this group of 3 objects that if one person has all 3 objects together, they can control all of the magic in Great Britain. So our main characters in this series have realized that some of these items have gone missing, so they're racing against the clock to find the last few items, to find the last item, I think, to prevent this evil person from having control of all the power, all of the magic in London. And it's really good. It's delightfully queer. There's so much like yearning and desire and a lovely romance in all of these books. And we all know that's what I'm really reading for, but obviously like the plot and the settings are so rich and magical and lovely, and the writing is wonderful. So I really love this series and I cannot wait to see how it concludes. I'm so excited to have this in my hands. If I wasn't a procrastinator and also my life wasn't falling apart, I would have had this before the official release date, but oh well, that's okay. I have it now and I'm so excited. And then of course, I could not stop myself from buying 4 additional books. Did I need 4 additional books? No, I did not, but I couldn't help myself. I just couldn't help myself. 2 of these I bought for a purpose. These are both for a video, hopefully coming out in December if I can get my shit together. I believe they're both FF romances. If You Love Something by J.C. Ellis. Just kidding, this is MM. I don't know why I didn't know what it was about. This is a second chance romance. It follows Deshawn and Malik, who used to be married, but then surprised the divorce didn't go through, and they figured this out because Deshawn's grandmother is dying and she's willing her estate to him and Malik. He has an uncle that's like contesting the will, and so Deshawn and Malik have to like pretend to reconcile and get back together in order to dispense this lawsuit and make sure like the inheritance goes all right and his grandmother's legacy is respected. But then obviously when they're back together, they're like, okay, I realized why we divorced, but also why we fell in love, so there might be a second chance at romance for them. This book sounds cute and I've been looking for it everywhere. This one is like really hard to find. I think Adora's Karina Press is kind of like a an indie publisher, so yeah, this one was hard to find, and like on audio, on Libby, on Scribd, I couldn't like find it anywhere, so I just decided to pick it up from the Rip Bodice, better than Amazon. And same thing with Satisfaction Guaranteed by Carolina Stets Waters. This one actually is FF. I know that for sure, and it was also hard to find on Libby or Scribd or anything that I already paid for, so I figured I would pick it up. Might as well. Like, I need an excuse to buy books, but so Satisfaction Guaranteed follows Cade and Selena. Cade inherits this adult toy store called Satisfaction Guaranteed. Cade is like a very buttoned up, career-focused person, but then Selena, her infuriatingly like unprofessional and chaos goblin of a coworker, kind of makes her life a living hell, but in the best possible way, and they have to band together to try and save this store, save their incomes and their livelihoods, while also like maybe falling in love along the way. It sounds like super cute and fun. Can't say I've ever read a book centered around an adult toy store, so that's very fascinating to me, and I think this one sounds like a fun time, so I'm excited to get to it. These 2 books I'd actually never heard of and just picked up on a whim in the LGBT romance section of the Ripped Bodice, and I'm very excited about both of them. I actually started reading this one on the train home. I'm already like 75 pages in, and it's really good so far. Like, I picked it up like, oh, this is another like red, white, and royal blue knockoff, but let me see what it's about. But it actually like sounded so good, and the writing is really good, and I really like all the characters so far, and it's really interesting. So it kind of is, I'm sure, probably inspired by Red, White, and Royal Blue, but I'm also kind of getting like maybe One Direction AU fanfic vibes. little bit, mostly because our main character, Prince Edward, his like operative secret name to the bodyguards is Curly, which if you don't know, if you don't read One Direction fanfic, or also just like know the lore of One Direction, because this was not like a made up thing, Louis actually would call Harry Curly, both in real life and in every fanfiction about them. I think that's just what's like triggering these connections, but I'm like, I bet you anything that is a reference. I don't think that that is coincidental. I think it's a reference. Anyway, this book is following Prince Edward. He's the spare. He's the second in line to the throne. His older brother Arthur is the first in line to the throne. And this book is basically, it also kind of is like giving Diana and William and Harry, like it's very similar to that, because like the lore, the background of this is a fake royal family, but their mother was divorced from their father when they were like in their young teens. Their mother though is the one that's the Queen of England. She's Queen Victoria. Arthur, Edward, and Alex are her children, the princes and the princesses. The story is like mainly focused on Edward, but I think we're gonna follow all of the characters, all of the people in the family, but Edward is kind of like the main character, and he has just been outed as bisexual by the tabloids, and so he's dealing with the ramifications of this as having been outed against his will and in a position of like such notoriety and power, and also for the past 8 years he's been in love with his bodyguard Isaac. So their dynamic is already really cute. Isaac definitely returns his feelings, but he is in that point to where he's like being very professional and stoic, and he just can't show that side of himself because of the situation they're in, but hopefully they, you know, something comes of that, because this is not the real world. This is a fiction book. So I'm sure it will have a happily ever after. And it's really good so far. I really like it. I've never heard of it. It's by Miranda Dubner, called The Spare. Would recommend for the like 20% of it that I've read so far. Really good. I'm excited I picked this one up. And the other book I picked up that I had never heard of before is Market of Dreams and Destiny by Trip Gailey. It was blurbed by Patrick Ness, which I think is interesting. I really like Patrick Ness. I haven't read him in a while, but I've read quite a few of his books and they're really good. This is basically a male fantasy. I'm gonna read you the back because I don't feel like coming up with the summary. It says, below Covent Garden lies the undermarket, where anything and everything has a price, a lover's first blush, a month of honesty, a wisp of fortune. As a child, Derry was sold to one of the market's most powerful merchants. Now, after years of watchful servitude, Derry finally spots a chance to buy not only his freedom, but also his place amongst the market's elite, when he stumbles into the path of a runaway princess desperate to sell her royal destiny. But news of the missing princess and her wayward destiny spreads. Royal enforcers and master merchants alike are after it. Outmaneuvering them all would be hard enough had Derry not just also met the love of his life, a young man called Owen, whose employers are using the market for their own nefarious schemes. Derry soon finds that the price of selling the royal destiny, making a name for himself, and saving the man he loves is dear. The cost of it all might just change the destiny of London forever. So I don't know, this just sounded really fun and magical, and like it would have a good romance at the heart, so that's all I really need in a book, and I decided to buy it. Hopefully I didn't like judge too hastily a book by its cover and its description, because I think this one sounds really good and I'm excited about it. Alright, and that is everything that I got on my book shopping trip in Brooklyn. My 2-part book shopping trip in Brooklyn. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I really appreciate you being here. You can find any relevant links in the description, including places to follow me on social media. Also, if you liked this video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up or a comment. Really helps my channel. Also, if you would like to subscribe and stick around, I try and post 2 bookish videos a week, so you can look forward to that. I think that's all for me today, so thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. We'll be right back.